Welcome back. This is Fantastic Pains and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
I'm not Karina.
And neither of us are Summer.
No, but I am.
Yeah. That's a good. And we're all here together.
As usual.
For more shenanigans with a guest. And I'm excited. It'll be good. If this is your first time joining us, this is our podcast. Hello and welcome. We can be found anywhere podcasts can be found aside from Apple.
We're working on
believe.
Apple.
Yes.
Someday.
Fuck Apple. Just saying. And then if you're listening, you can find us on YouTube if you would like to see all of the nonsense that goes down. And then there's some silliness on TikTok too.
Yes.
So,
and there will be more.
Like, share, subscribe, and leave us a comment because we love interacting with you. We also have a Discord if you really want to interact with us.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
We have people who are actually active all the time.
Yes. So. And we do lives there on Friday afternoons. Usually.
If you want to be there.
Usually. And we just hang out and we chat and we talk about the next day's episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
So do that. Yeah. I think it's your turn first for... Actually, no. Do you want me to go?
No, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Intense.
You had a week, too.
Well, I think we all had a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I'll go first.
Okay. So then I guess that it is time for the weekly recap.
Check in. Have to. I can't not. Sorry.
That's how that goes now.
Yeah, so my week, it was really boring, actually. Nothing much happened in the beginning. It was...
In the beginning.
It was lots of... fatigue.
It made up for it later though.
Oh it kicks off by Friday. We didn't have a whole lot in the beginning, just pain and fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday I found out that my pain management clinic has been closed for 2 weeks, and they just emailed us to let us know that they are gone.
Yes.
And they left a phone number, and we called the phone number, and it's disconnected. So there's that.
So I have a theory, and it's that it was just a money laundering operation the whole time.
That my brain went to money laundering just hearing it right now for the first
so
time.
Sketchy.
They were
That's
like,
so
we're
weird.
a pain management clinic.
But
we got bought out.
They were good, though.
And now we're gone in the wind.
Well, they changed management 3 times since I've been there.
But you've been
2
there
years.
for like,
2 or
okay,
3
so
years.
yeah.
So every year they get a new management, like.
And then this one was just Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went away.
Yeah. So,
I didn't tell anybody or warn anybody.
No. And they were like,
yeah, we've been gone
for 2 weeks. Call us if you need help with any of your medications, and then you can't call them.
But we're all in Mexico now.
Yeah.
Where the law can't reach us.
Yeah. So that was fun. I'm going to hook up with David again, though.
Yes.
I have his contact info, and he's got to practice somewhere in Inglewood, so...
Remind us who David is, because
David's the
my favorite stories.
The fun psychiatrist.
Yes.
Who wasn't a psychiatrist, but he always had those interesting stories, like the Abraham Lincoln assassination. Just
where he was just like you guys were doing your I don't even know,
like normal check-in
stuff. It was a
stuff.
session, and then he was like, "Can you believe that Lincoln knew he was gonna die?" Like,
yeah, in the middle of us going through it,
be?
he's like, "So were you depressed? How's the meds treating you?" So Lincoln, he knew he was going to be assassinated. Not then, but he knew that his head was on.
It was gonna happen, and
like,
he did it anyway.
Yeah, how about that? Or what about what was it? Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh God.
He was like, Joe Rogan, huh? Like, sure, let's have this conversation right now.
Sure.
In the middle of us trying to get everything sorted. Why not?
Right. Medications, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah,
goes together well.
I'm gonna be seeing him again, so we'll have more fun stories, I'm sure.
Yes, but your concern with him is that he's the very fix-it guy.
Yeah, he wants to get in there, and he thinks he has all these strategies that I haven't tried before, that I've tried before, like injections or
yikes,
pseudosurgeries and things like that.
Yes,
but
and then have you tried just stretching
every day?
Every day.
Every day. That's what I do. That's my morning routine.
If you stretch, the EDS will go away.
Well, he's not that bad. He had ideas. He's like, I think I have an idea for your back. And I'm like, okay, but I've probably tried it.
Hopefully it's the stimulator.
No, hopefully it's surgery. I want actual surgery.
Well, yeah, but you want the widening surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the stimulator.
Yeah. Then.
Yeah, in order. Order
Or-
of operations.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my week.
Fucking
You came over
stupid.
yesterday and we had fun commiserating.
Yes, because I decided that Thursday at work was a really good time to like just feel all of my feelings and then turn into a puddle.
Yeah.
That was a good time. Because it has been. It's been like fatigue mania this last week. And I don't know what the deal is. Like, I've just hit that point in the year where I'm like, I'm either going to just drag myself through the next 8 weeks or I'm going to die of sheer exhaustion.
Right.
I'm so far out of spoons and so far in spoon debt that nothing is making it better.
No, you had break even, and that didn't really.
Well,
help
that's
you.
exactly it. I was like, I think I was paying off some of the interest from the spoon debt that I have,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but I did not make a dent, and I definitely don't have any spoons to hold.
I'm sorry.
No spoons for me. Please, sir, do you have a spoon?
Oh, yeah, we're going to set up a P.O. box, by the way. So if you want to send us the spoon, go for it.
Yeah.
The last spoon.
Yes, and then spoon jewelry will be a thing.
Spoonery.
And then spoonery.
Spoonery.
Uh-huh. All the spoonery. I don't know. People want spoonery, but I don't know how it's not gonna be good.
No. I could see some immediate associations with spoons that are going to be misinterpreted. Like, why are you wearing a spoon? Don't worry about it. Just,
Well, my dom likes to beat me.
yes, that's where I go,
I
too.
don't know. I wasn't
Spoon
sure where
beatings.
you were going.
Oh, I was like, heroin use and stuff.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
also going to
okay.
heroin use, but it's cool that you went where you
Yeah, what does
did.
that say about you?
What
Let's
does it
dive
say
into
about
that.
us?
True. Very true.
They're about the drugs, and I'm about the fucking...
Yeah?
No.
Is that, you want to, that's the hill?
I don't want to commit to this. I would like to withdraw my answer, please.
Remove it from the record.
Strike
Strike
that
it.
from the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I don't know. I was just so tired. And then IEP meeting was crazy. And it wasn't crazy. It was just annoying that I came into the building when I didn't have to.
Oh, when nobody
because it
showed
was
up.
virtual.
Oh, yeah. You looked so good that day, though.
I know. I was all cute and everything. No. I was like, profesh. No, no one cares. Shut up. And then walking down the hallway with Summer, actually, I dislocated my right hip.
Real bad, too.
Like, yeah.
Like, I was probably 2 feet ahead of her, and she was like, and we were like,
I damaged myself.
broken.
Yeah, no, it was really bad. And then, I don't know, I was like dead set on shredding whatever fucking documents I had in my hand
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
you were
time.
telling me.
And I was like, I can't fix my hip right now. I don't know what to do. And so I'm like trying to get into the office. I finally get in there and I'm trying to shred these stupid fucking documents. And then I have HR and our executive director staring at me going, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." No. And then Claudia, because then our nurse was there. And this is the woman who, instead of like helping me relocate my shoulder, was like, "You need to go.
Oh, yeah.
You need to leave and go get that fixed by a professional." And I was like, "No, I really just need you to pull right here and then it'll be fine."
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want her to see me because then that was going to be a whole like, "Can I
Fight,
take you to the
yeah.
ER?" And then they were already trying to be like, I'll drive you. We could go to the ER. And I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I don't need that."
You
and
just
then-
need to dislocate more so they see it more often.
God.
So they're like desensitized to it.
Right? Like our little circle is, they're just like, "Oh yeah, no, she's broken. It's fine.
Yeah.
She'll figure it out."
Moving on. Like, we got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's like, "Do you need help?" "No, you're good." "Okay. I got
Yeah.
your kids for 10 minutes. Figure it out."
Sort yourself out.
Right. But no, I had HR and our executive director both going like, "Maybe you should go somewhere." And I was like, "No, I just need you to stop fucking looking at me." And then, you know, that point where you like, I don't even know, where you hit it and you're in so much pain that you can't process anymore. And then people are asking you fucking questions. And then I'm just mad because they're asking me questions and I can't process what they're saying. And I can't dig around in there for an answer when I'm like hurdy thorn brain. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
especially when the questions feel very pity-based like rooted in just
Oh,
like
yeah.
this sense of, no, but we can make it better for you. And it's like, no, Shut up.
Yep.
What if you leave me alone?
Yeah, that was
that
about
anything?
how that goes.
Yeah.
And so then Diana came and rescued me and was like, lay on the floor. And I was like, here in the hallway? She's like, yes. And I was like,
Do
but
it.
people. And she's like, no one's going to look. They're all over there. I was like, okay. And so she tried to help me get it back in. And then I had to fight with it and do contortion time.
Did you finally get it all the way in?
No.
Like, it's still not sitting right?
Mm-mm. I think that's why, like, my SI is so angry today. Because, yeah, that was really bad. So Wednesday, dislocation. That was, like, a bad dislocation. I had to medicate at work, which does not happen.
No.
Almost ever. And that made me mad because then I had to feel the come down, like, at dinner time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was pissed because I was like, this is just bullshit and I'm tired of it. And then Thursday, I just couldn't take it anymore. And I exploded. And that was how that went. And I made it, like, to the end where I was like, okay, bye, children. And then I collapsed. And that was the end of that. And everyone was like, there was a text in the group chat. And they were like, we're going to go do beer and ice cream. And I was like, cannot, cry instead. And they thought I was kidding. And then they came in to be like, okay, no pressure, but we wanted to offer one more time. And they were like, oh, no, you're actually crying. I was like, yeah, I am. Yeah. And it was weird for everyone.
Not for me.
I know you
I
were
was
like,
fine.
you were just
I was like, let her go home.
good.
She's
Yeah.
fine. Walk with her to the door so nobody bothers her. Let's leave.
Yes. Well, and you were the one who was like, everyone's like, what's wrong? And you were just like, she hit critical mass. That's, yeah. No.
It happens.
It just happened. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Because, yeah, last weekend was emotionally exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't do emotional exhaustion and physical exhaustion and then add pain and then more pain. And then you're like, okay, now I'm done.
Yeah.
I hate everything about everything and I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Which is fair,
Yep.
I think, with that amount of just like, everything's bad.
All the time. I was like, it never stops raining shit in my world. I'm so tired of it, but I won't commit to the umbrella. I am self-destructive. And then, so I went home and my husband was super sweet and he poured me a bath and was like, here's all of your comfort things and some ice water for the really hot bath that I got you. And let me know when you're ready for ice cream. And so I cried it all out and then I went to sleep. And then I felt better, like a lot better. But Thursday was when he was like, you need to take a mental health day.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about like his progress too.
Oh, yeah.
As far as things go. And so I did. I was like, I'm taking a mental health day. I know I'm out of leave. I don't care. I just cannot. And he was super sweet. And when he left on Friday, he was like, do self-care on his way out.
Nice.
So he was cute and sweet and it was good. But I feel better.
Which is good.
We dumped the bucket out so we can fill it with more bullshit.
You did what I told you to do.
Yeah.
Have a meltdown, cry about it, and sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
The important things.
That was exactly it. Because I was like, I had to process being like upset and then it's so irritating. So the episode that came out today is exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So essentially that like you want support, but like you've spent so much time training other people not to be soft with you. And then when you need them to be soft with you, they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, nothing. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. But also hold me. So yeah, there was a bit of that like chronic loneliness piece to it. But yeah, it worked itself out.
Hopefully.
I'm alive. It's fine. I feel better. So ready for more nonsense. I don't know if I can do 8 more weeks of dreaming about being tired though.
That's the worst.
That's where I'm at in the like
when you're
fatigue.
dreaming about sleeping.
Yes.
And not getting restful sleep.
And having people interrupt your sleep.
The good news is it's only 7 weeks.
Oh.
Fucking God.
We got through week 8. Now we just got to get through the last fucking 7 of them.
Yes. Well, and I'm going to really put my foot down and be like, nope, I'm working from home on Wednesdays. I will come in for PD. The end.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like that's more than fair.
yeah. And I have to. And I can't be running the show in my advisory all the time because I'm tired and that sucks. And then they're like, it'll be better next year. And I'm like, that doesn't help me right now at all. So cool for future me, but also
I hate that. That's like when you send me messages like, it's not forever. It's like, I know, but right now it really sucks.
Now.
And also, like, sometimes it's just different. It doesn't mean it's going to be better. It's just going to be not like this. And it's like, cool. Worse? Same, but
worse
just slightly
is always
different.
an option.
This is a different hell.
Yeah,
exactly.
Try something new.
It doesn't get worse. It gets different. Fuck. Yeah. So that was my week. And yeah, I live.
You do. It's very exciting.
How are you?
It's been
we
a
work
rough
together, by the way.
We do.
So.
We do. And we spend a lot of time together. So you know the bulk of this, but it's been a rough, like, time. I don't know how much time has passed in the roughs. Like,
time isn't real.
But, like, this week in particular was weird. My brain, I had a lot of brain bees and a lot of just, like, couldn't feel settled at all. And then my birthday was Wednesday, which was strange because birthdays are weird. And that's a whole other, like, I'm a person and I exist and people know that I exist and also are celebrating it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I like this.
And it's positive, but also, like, is it?
Yeah, no.
Danger.
It feels very conditional, but that's whatever. But then Thursday I had a minor panic attack, but was able to actually get back and keep working, which was great because that usually doesn't happen. Because if I have a panic attack, it's like a full tilt, like shaking, sweating, can't do anything. But I like did that for like an hour and then went back and taught my last class of the day, which was. I don't usually do that though. Like usually I like the minute it starts happening.
Determined.
But I was like, no, I have this cool lesson and I'm not letting anybody else teach it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I went back and did it and it was fine. But then yesterday, it was weird. I like could feel it in my stomach and in my chest when I woke up and I was like, okay, we're probably going to have some kind of meltdown today, but we're going to see if we can wait.
Yeah.
See how it's going to be.
It.
Because, I mean, and we'll talk about this when we get into, more of what the topic is. But with these new diagnoses that I've been given, I'm trying to, like, exist in a world where I'm okay with these things and okay with feeling certain ways in my body and my brain. But sometimes I swing way too hard one direction and then I'm standing in the counselor's office because we're friends and I'm just talking and then all of a sudden my leg is shaking and everybody's like, you gonna be okay? And I'm like, mm-mm. And then sometimes you're just like full tilt laying face down on a beanbag shaking. And it was like the worst panic attack I've had in a long time. And it was just bad. And it happened really early in the morning, which very rarely happens to me. Like if I'm going to panic, I usually like, usually like there's, post-lunch. It's like after lunch. It's after the day has already kind of happened a little bit. And it didn't used to be like that. Like it used to hit me at all different points of the day, which is why yesterday was so scary because I like haven't had it be an all day thing for a very, very, very long time. But it ended up being fine. I mean, the lovely people we work with who know and kind of understand how to balance between like, I'm here to support you, but also you don't have to keep talking to me while you're shaking was good. Right. And then, they called my girlfriend. My girlfriend came and got me, took me home, and I was able to just kind of sleep for the bulk of the day and was in pain because I was very shaky and like my hip wouldn't crack, but it needed to crack and it was yucky. But I mean, that was the worst, I think, part of the week was just trying to get through yesterday and being in a weird brain fog of like, I don't know what time it is. I don't know what's going on. I don't super remember having a panic attack, but I'm home and it's noon. So I had to have had something happen to me to put me in this situation.
Right.
So yeah, today I'm just feeling more okay, but trying to like give myself grace of, yes, my body does still hurt. And yes, I am still tired and I still have some bees happening.
Yeah. Well, good news. You're in the perfect company for that. It's disaster time.
Hooray.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I never really thought about the timing of my panic attacks, but they're always in the evening. That's weird.
It's a very common thing. Like it's really common for them to be more in the evening because it has to do with like brain chemistry levels during the day.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because I went down a whole rabbit hole about it once.
And all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know the actual like sciencey part behind it, but just like it has to do with when your brain is doing different processes basically, and like
producing different hormones and that makes sense actually, because we used to just we stole the term sundowning and stuck it on that, because I sundown really bad when I'm in the SADS. Which is funny because my SADS I think peak right as spring is starting.
That's the worst. That's when I'm happiest.
No,
Spring
I'm
is
like
my happy time.
I'm like low, but then spring starts to happen and I hit this like major low, and then we come back up and then we level out.
What's weird is that for me, spring is like major bipolar times. I had just extremes. I'm either super energetic and happy or super low.
Yeah.
And I just realized that that's my springtime, because I'm always like, I get the manic highs.
Yeah.
But then immediately after I come down, I'm like, oh no. Everything's the worst. There's nothing good in life.
It sucks and it's bad. And it's it.
Yeah.
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 It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. I was going through, after my meltdown, I was like, is this forever? Like, do I need to increase my antidepressant?
Oh God.
Or did we just like have to hit the reset button on all of my brain chemicals to re-regulate?
Well, when my panic attacks get that bad, my brain is immediately like, this is what life is going to be like forever.
For the rest
You're
of your
just
life.
never going to stop shaking, buddy. Super sorry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it stops, and then I'm just like, it's going to start again, though, isn't it? And it's just like a really fun game of, am I going to shake more, or am I just having aftershocks, or am I having like...
Because you're not sure if you're like anticipating something coming on, or well, and then the anticipation makes it worse, and then...
Because it feeds back into the anxiety, and then it feels like you're dying, and it's a really, really fun,
have anxiety
cool
about anxiety.
Yeah.
So meta. So fun.
It gets meta.
So great.
It gets really meta.
Yeah. Well, and I can understand all of it, but I don't have panic attacks, but I can relate to all of the like weird brain chemistry moments. Because I usually, I don't like panic. I just shut down. I'm like, everything is sad and horrible and awful. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
This is where we live now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not good times. But it does kind of go back into our fabulous topic. And I'm excited because this one applies to probably everybody in the room. With diagnostic limbo and imposter syndrome.
My favorite subject.
Right?
Gets me all riled up.
And then I have to kind of like feel bad a little bit because I actually have a diagnosis. But I mean, I have other things that they're...
I have diagnoses. I just don't have all of the ones that I should have.
Right. Well, and that's...
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the movement disorder. Where I'm like, they won't put a name on it. And everyone's like, anxiety? And I'm like, no, not anxiety.
Not everything is anxiety.
Movement disorder.
They like to put anxiety on everything, though.
Yes.
Everything.
And like, I can have anxiety.
Yeah.
That's fine. I do have that.
Well, but that's the thing.
But like, that's not everything. That's not the root of the whole problem.
Well, and that's why that's like, it can't be like or. It has to be and. I have anxiety and this is a thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
What the heck, man? Yeah. But we know a lot about diagnostic limbo, at least on your end. Because I have Ehlers-Danlos type 3, and so does he, but not on paper.
No, I have hypermobile...
Spectrum disorder.
Spectrum disorder. Because he doesn't believe in Ehlers-Danlos. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's really cool that your thing that you have just can be like, nope, I don't think so. So,
right.
So yeah,
well,
you're
it's
fine.
the one guy in the state that takes my insurance.
Yep.
There's only one geneticist that I can see.
Yep. Well, and the funny thing is, when we looked at his like reviews,
it was a bunch of EDS patients complaining about how he doesn't believe in it.
He's an asshole. Yeah.
Neat.
Because it wasn't even just like, I don't believe you. It was like,
I don't believe this is a
you're
thing.
irritating to, like, your existence irritates me.
Yeah. He was really condescending.
Yeah. Like, just gross.
Ew.
Super gross.
Mm-hmm. We saw him for like 5 minutes.
After the nurses were like,
the nurses were all like, yeah,
got this,
they got my measurements. We did all the history. And they were like, yeah, no, you
Bite
sound
and score,
like
all
verbatim.
of it.
You're classic EDS. But as soon as he walked in, it all went away. And they were both like, you could see they were both like, what the fuck?
Well, because they couldn't say anything. Mm-hmm. And then he left the room and they were like,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the worst. Just gross.
But Summer's been dealing with it too, right?
Yes.
Your fight.
So, what is the easiest line through this story is the question. So, when I got the job at the school, my insurance shifted and I was finally able to go to a therapist after not being able to for a couple years. And she kind of, from the beginning, was like, I don't know if this diagnosis fits you. Because at that point, I just was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and like clinical depression. And she was like, the things you're telling me don't sound like this. Like, the things that you're telling me sound like you probably do have those things, but like you have other things that aren't being addressed.
Yeah.
And the issue is, when I was first diagnosed with these things, I was like 14, which I don't know how it works everywhere, but like in Pennsylvania, 14 is the age where you can kind of start being involved in your diagnoses. But the doctors didn't want to do that. The doctors were like, no, we'll talk to your mom and have your mom tell us everything.
Oh, man.
And it was a lot of like playing that game back and forth.
Yeah.
And like that was not good anyway, because then that turns into being 15 and being on Xanax. And like Xanax isn't great when your brain's developing.
Yeah.
And it's a whole thing. But like, I wasn't really part of the diagnostic process at first, which was, at the time, didn't really think that was an issue, whatever. But she wanted me to go and have more testing done, basically, and just like ground up, do not just go in with diagnoses, just go in and do this whole thing. So in December, I went, and it was going to be 3 sessions, and it ended up just needing to be 2. And basically, I had a full workup. So I had like a really intense intake interview and went through some different IQ tests and went through story tests and a whole bunch of stuff, and like self-reporting and an autism screener, which is the big issue. And
because at that point we were just like batting around ADHD versus ASD.
Yes.
And the possibility of one or the other or both.
Or what is, and a lot of it is kind of, why does my brain do this? And also, why does my body respond when my brain does this?
Right.
Because I also have what has been labeled as conversion syndrome, which is a nothing diagnosis.
Yes, it's fibromyalgia.
Yeah, it's for your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you said. Where it's just, we don't know. You can't get rid of it. Goodbye. Like, that's all it is.
But also, it's all in your head.
Exactly.
Have a good time.
that.
Bye now.
It's, well, I was 18 when I got that diagnosis, because I was having a full-blown, like, full tilt, shaky panic attack. And Karina has seen my panic attacks. It's, like, scary. It looks like seizing sometimes. It's not good. I get sweaty. I'm lucid, but, like, kind of. But I was in Children's Hospital, and I'd been shaking for, like, 3 days, and my mom took me to the hospital, whatever, and they were like, we need to get a crash cart. And they brought in a crash cart for seizing, and then they were like, you're talking, which means you're not having a typical seizure.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, what am I having, though?
Yeah.
Like, what is this, and what is the issue? And their whole thing was just like, oh, well, we're going to call it conversion syndrome, where your body just doesn't know what to do with stress hormones. And I was like, cool, how do I fix that, though, so I can be a person that exists and does things without just shaking all the time?
Right.
Because it's exhausting. And it hurts real bad.
Yeah.
But regardless, I went through all this testing. I went last week and got the results. So I've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I first went in for testing, the test, like, proctor administrator, who's like a PhD student, was like, I don't want to scare you, but I think we're looking more towards autism. Does that scare you? And I was like, no. I mean, it makes sense. And, like, it did make me a little bit nervous, just because I'm an adult now.
Big label, yeah.
I'm also an adult, and, like, if that is something, that's something that has always been a thing, and nobody paid attention to it when I was a kid, and, like, that's frustrating.
Yes.
So I went back on, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, and she was like, okay, here's kind of the breakdown of what we're seeing with you. And I have generalized anxiety disorder. We knew that. That's not a surprise. They finally labeled me with panic disorder, which is something they never wanted to do before, because they were like, you're too young, which is its own problem.
You're too young to be panicking.
I hate that sentence.
It's just like, cool.
Yeah.
But I have it, so, like, it doesn't matter. shut up. So I have that, and then I also have what is considered like the step below PTSD, which is, I forget how they worded it, but basically like intense history of personal trauma.
Yeah.
Which just means that like going forward, all of my care has to be trauma informed, which is good.
Right.
But they were like, we can't give you a full PTSD diagnosis because our insurance does not cover that.
Oh.
Which doesn't make sense to me because CPTSD.
Right.
Yeah.
Like why?
They don't cover it.
Huh.
Then I also have what they're calling
It's like somatic
symptom disorder, and that's the really big one, which has to do, and I'd never heard of it, so that's what
I
freaked
hadn't
me
either.
out really, because like it's one thing to be told like, oh, you have this and this that you've heard of or whatever,
Yeah.
but like getting something that you're like, cool, Martha, what the fuck is that though? Is basically, it has to do with, she explained it to me as the opposite of hypochondria, where like I am incredibly aware of everything going on in my body and my brain all the time, to the point that I can't function the way that I should be able to.
Right.
And it feeds back into the anxiety, and then my anxiety goes, oh, the body feels like we're dying, so what about that? And then the body goes, hey, your brain thinks you're dying, what if we just do that? And then I get stuck in a feedback loop.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
And all of that, like, that was difficult, and it was whatever, and I'm still trying to like exist in this world of being like, oh, I am very aware of every single twinge that I feel in my body and my brain. But then we got to, we need to rule out autism. And I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean we have to rule it out? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, the screener we gave you is not a full diagnostic tool. It's
Right.
like a kind of, let's see what, and according to the screener, I'm on the spectrum. But
Oh yes, this is
they can't tell me that because it's not a full diagnostic workup. And the really fun thing is, our insurance also doesn't cover that.
Oh my God.
And if I want to go out of, and so this was all dropped as like 3 sentences in a row. So it was, you present with these things, but we can't fully tell you it. We can't tell you it because it's not covered by your insurance. We don't have anybody in the network who will do it because you are an
'cause
adult.
She was like, I'm not qualified to tell you that you have that thing, and also no one else can.
Oh my God.
And it was because
But
I'm
you
an
probably
adult.
have that thing.
Right.
And she was like, it's because you're a grown-up. If you were a kid and we were doing these tests, it would be covered, but because you are this age, you can't do it. And then the third sentence was, but you probably should go out of network to get it done, and if you go out of network, it's going to be a 6-month waiting list and $5,000.
Yeah.
Yep. We actually have a friend who's been on before who went through that same exact process, and they were like, can't diagnose you
Jen
without
started looking at
thing.
it too because she was thinking, like, she presents on the spectrum too, and she was like, I'll look into it. And then like 2 days later I talked to her about it. She's like, no, we can't afford that.
No.
Right, and like $5,000 for a piece of paper is never going to be within my means.
Right.
Well, and okay, so I am a special education teacher, and there is a significant difference between how males are diagnosed and how females are diagnosed. And I think it's absolutely insane that insurance isn't covering it when we know that women who are autistic or like they're socialized in such a way that they slip through undetected.
Well, that's the second
And then
part
they
of this.
start having the masking fatigue as adults. And then they can't mask anymore, and they're like, what the heck is wrong with me? And then they're like, oh, well, you made it this far, so clearly it's fine.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, the person who did my testing was like, okay, off the record, you're on the spectrum. You can exist as a person who's on the spectrum. I just can't give you a piece of paper that says that you are.
Yeah.
Here's the issue with that. I need to have, like, I need that so that I can get, like, reasonable accommodations and everything else that comes along with having a diagnosis.
Yes.
Because, it's not her fault. And it's fine, and I'm not mad at her, but the system is broken to the point of like, sure, we can treat these things that present as symptoms, but that only gets you so far, and it's weird to have to exist in this loop of like, you have this thing, but we can't tell you that you have this thing, or we won't tell you that you have this thing unless you give us $1 billion that you don't have.
Yeah.
And then if we give you this diagnosis, your life is the same.
Yeah.
Like, you are going to get more reasonable accommodations and people will take you more seriously, hopefully. But also, like, maybe they won't.
Right. That $5,000 isn't like a fix for, well, and we know exactly what that loop is, where you're like, I need the label. And they're like, but you'll be treated the same anyway. Like, the first doctor I saw about Ehlers-Danlos looked at me and was like, I don't think you need a diagnosis. We can treat the symptoms just the same. And I was like,
that's the one that Jen was like pissed about.
Yeah.
Because she went in with you and was like, mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, and that was my first, like, we can get a different doctor? Really?
Yeah.
What? And so we wound up having to do that because there are people who are like, yo, you'll be treated the same. But there's a reason we need that label.
Yeah.
It's important to have correct care and appropriate accommodations. And because even going through college, I couldn't get accommodations without that label. I needed that. I needed that whole workup to send to them to be like, yeah, guys, I suffer from major fatigue and I need extra time to get my stuff done. But I couldn't have done that without that label.
Right.
And a lot of the time and I see it all the time in the Facebook groups where they're like, my doctor suspects but won't say.
Exactly. But then it feeds into the anxiety because then it's just like, what if I'm lying?
Yes.
Yeah.
What if I don't actually have this thing, but I just think I do? So now I have to exist in this weird gray space of like, because even with being on the spectrum, like, I have people that I don't mask around, and now I know that that's what it is, because I am like, oh, I'm more comfortable around these people, and it's just like, no, you're just being yourself around these people and not putting on this weird thing that you had to do for 24 years.
Right.
But it's still weird to, like, and I don't think it's ever going to not be weird to be in this position of like, I am this. This is a thing that I am autistic. But I don't have a paper that says that. So I feel like I can't say that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then it feels like I'm co-opting something. Or I'm taking something away from other people. And like, even, it doesn't matter that I have friends who are on the spectrum who are like, nobody gives a shit. You're fine. You can just say it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we all are very, like, anybody who talks to you is very aware it's fine. But like, it still feels co-opty. And it feels like I'm stealing something. And it feels like I'm lying about it to get attention.
Yeah.
I have that
It's
same
imposter
problem.
syndrome.
I don't like go in and tell people, like, especially doctors. I don't say it. Jen does. She'll jump in. It's EDS, and I'm like, I have a condition. We don't really know what it is.
I have a
Like,
thing that happens to me sometimes.
You know what? I shouldn't have. I don't have anything. I'm fine.
I had
Why
to
am I
really
here?
train myself out of that.
Yeah.
Because, especially with like the movement disorder piece, now it's in my file that it is a movement disorder. It's unspecified
something,
movement
yeah.
disorder.
Yeah, it's more
But
than, yeah.
I literally had to be like, no, I have a movement disorder and
Right.
that's causing pain. And they're like, you have what? And I'm like, I have a movement disorder
Yeah.
that's causing me pain. But yeah, I really had to like get past. And I think I'm more comfortable with it because it's generalized
Yeah.
at this point. Like, it's not, I don't have a like.
Have you told
specific
Summer
label.
about your or the thing that happens to us when we get to surgery time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is
imposter
great.
syndrome where
Yeah.
we have
Take
surgery.
pictures, or else it didn't happen, and you're
you
just
cut
lying.
Me, you looked in and went, "Oh, he's fine," and then closed it.
And then lied to me so that I would shut the fuck up.
That is such a weird
And
thing
go
to
away.
believe, but it's hard not to.
And there's like some real mental gymnastics from medical neglect
Yeah.
that
Oh,
goes
yeah.
on, and medical gaslighting that goes on. And that is, I don't know, I will outright say that, like, that's medical trauma.
Yeah.
That is trauma. That's stuff we have to like really work to undo, and
Yeah.
beliefs about ourselves that we have to work to undo.
Yeah.
And it also, it's hard when it comes from somebody in the medical field, because then it's just like, oh, you have studied this for a very
They're
long
an
time.
authority.
And
Yeah.
then there's also the piece of like people outside, like family members, or like when I was growing, like teachers that were just like, it's not real. She just doesn't want to do the homework. And it's like,
Oh God.
Ma'am, I would love to do the homework. I would love to be able to sit and do the homework without full tilt losing it in the library.
Yep.
Because it would be really, really easy. Like, it would be so much easier if I could just do the thing without it being a panic attack. Like, but I feel like that's what a lot of it is. And that's where a lot of the imposter syndrome comes from, because we were told
for decades and all the time, and by people that we are supposed to entrust, or trust implicitly,
people
who are supposed to be authorities and protectors and
but we're
caregivers.
Told, like, by these same people, no, but it's not as bad as you think it is. You think it's worse than it is, and you're making it worse.
Yeah.
And if you just stopped thinking about
milking it. Oh my God. Stop playing it up.
Just exercise. Just exercise for 8 years.
Have you
but
thought
also
about
destroy yourself in the
journaling?
process?
Have you thought about journaling through it? Do you think that would maybe help the anxiety? And it's like,
oh my God.
It's like, yeah, like I do that, but I still have panic attacks because journaling doesn't fix the panic attacks.
Right. Right.
And I mean, when I was a teenager, it was, well, what if we bump your Xanax dose? And it's like, cool,
Jesus.
I can't stay awake in class, but excellent.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, I hate that answer. More medication.
Right. Well, especially when you are young, like, that's the time for, like, okay, let's work on coping skills and teaching you how to regulate and get your needs met and, like, appropriately advocate for yourself. That is what that time is for. And then you can talk medication when you have an informed person.
Right.
But when you are a teenager and they're like, here, take this magic pill that'll make it go away, and you're not given, like, you're not told that, yeah, this is going to be a thing. Or this is what this will do. Or you're going to be tired. Or it just frustrates me. Like,
and
the first move every time.
Even, like, because when I was coming home from that appointment last week, because at first I was going to go back to work after the appointment. And then the therapist was like, you need to go and process all of this. Yeah. So I went home, and it was good because my partner works from home. So she was able to just be like, okay, what do we need to do to get you feeling like you can handle being a person? Right. But my mom called, which was great. And she tried to help, but she took it and was like, she immediately was just like, well, I think everybody in the family is autistic. And I was like, cool. That doesn't make it easier for me to not have a diagnosis. And she's like, well, but I think it's silly if you need one because everybody in the family has it. So, like, it's genetic and it's like, you can just keep going. Which is a really fun way to say, like, shut up.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems with that, though, because, again, when we're looking at, like, our diagnoses and it was like, oh, well, we suspected that. And you're like, that makes it worse. That means that you had an inkling
and didn't
that
do anything.
I needed something, and then you neglected to do anything.
For, like, 4 of us.
At all.
Right.
Ever.
Well, I mean,
and then you were just like, oh yeah, as adults you're like suffering horribly. Oh well, sorry. I mean, we kind of like had an idea that was gonna happen. No, fuck you.
Well, that was literally what the other part of the phone call was, because she was like, well, we knew you didn't really relate to other kids, but we thought it was just because you were smart. So we just thought it was fine because, like, if it was because you were smart, then it was a good thing.
Well, and the worst part is that, like, twice exceptional children have. It's a like crazy difference in emotional development because 2E kids are pushed to this place where you're like, you're smart, and that like fucks with their heads. Yeah. And then they're afraid to like attempt anything that they know they're not like perfect at. And then you have kids who are like, you have a very high, I don't know, there's gifted in one area usually means that there's deficits in other areas. And a lot of the time with 2E kids, it's in like the emotional range. And if we don't catch it, we can't do anything about it.
But I was a good actress, and I was good at masking it, and I was good at being like, no, I'm fine. And then I just did that over and over and over again, and now I'm in my mid-20s suddenly being like, oh, that's why I'm tired all the time. Right. That's why it is exhausting to be out of my bubble and out of my house and away from, like, the, like, handful of people that I am okay unmasking around.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
like
it's
even doing what
burnout.
I do, like being a teacher is hard regardless. But like the level of like hoops I have to go through to mask to make sure that the kids don't see a thing that I don't want them to see is bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like hypervigilance all the time.
Yeah.
Just constant.
Which definitely feeds into the
Right,
somatic
exactly what I
symptom
was gonna
disorder.
say.
Yeah. And
Because then
you
I
know.
have to be aware.
Yeah. You're like on the verge of fight, flight, freeze at all times.
Yeah. Oh my
And
god.
you like have to stay there. That's not a zone anybody wants to be in for an extended period of time. And then we know that the stress hormones wreak havoc within the body and with your mental health and the whole nine. It's not good.
So yeah,
Just awful.
it's hard.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's also hard when it's a thing where it's not always invisible too. Because now you're stuck in a situation where you're like, no, I definitely have this thing and I would like somebody to do something about it. But then your literal medical professionals that are looking at you are like, what if he's lying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
What if he's kidding? Oh my God, what if it's a joke? What if it's a really funny haha joke?
You know what would be really
Well, that's
funny?
always what I walk away with anyways.
Yeah.
Is that thought I'm like, oh, they didn't buy it.
No.
Yeah, like,
Well, and it's today's episode is so good. Sorry, the one that came out because we talked about like you have to unmask to a degree, but also mask, and then toe the line with like how much is visible versus how much do you keep invisible, and then making it visible feels performative because it is, and
it feels fake.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But then if you don't do it at all, then it's like, well, but you're not presenting with any of that, so
Right.
it doesn't matter. But then if you're really having some kind of thing where like your hip completely dislocates in the middle of the hallway, or I'm having a full tilt like meltdown in one of the classrooms,
Right.
then that feels fake too, because then it feels like, what if I just want people to see it?
Right.
Yeah.
What if I just want people to be aware of it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and it's that dance between like, am I crazy? Am I doing it for the attention? Like, I don't want the attention, but maybe that's also part of the act. Like,
Right.
what is what at that point? Makes it hard to ground.
Oh yeah. And it's like there's some level, at least for me, I don't know if this is like a universal whatever, but there's some level of safety in being like, what if I just don't tell anybody what I'm actually feeling
Yes.
right now?
Yeah.
What if nobody knows that I'm in super intense and like I can't, like there are people that I can't hide it from. Clearly, I can't ever hide it from Karina because she'll walk into a room and be like, vibes are off, what's going on? What's this? I can't hide it from Lulu, my girlfriend, because I'll walk into a room and she'll be like, storm cloud, what is this? What's going on? And it's good, but like then there's always that like clenched fear of like, oh no, somebody perceived it.
Yeah.
Right.
They
I'm
can
caught.
tell.
I'm caught.
Yeah.
How do I bail out of this?
God, I hate when Jen does that to me. Especially when I don't notice it happening. Like, I'm asking so well that I don't notice it.
Exactly.
And she'll be like, hey, what's up with you today? And I'm like, nothing. I'm fine. What are you talking about? Shit, I'm fucked up today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because Lulu will also do that and be like, what's wrong? And I'll be like, nothing. And I get really defensive about it. And I get almost angry because I'm like, there's nothing fucking wrong. And then I'll sit for a second and be
And
like,
then you're like, oh wait.
everything hurts and I'm really sad.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
has to be frustrating to be on the other end of too, because it's just like, don't fucking tell me everything's okay.
Yeah.
Just tell me you're upset and we can like get ice cream or fix it or do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody ever catches me though. I am incognito for the most part. But that's
problem,
part
though,
of my cognito
getting
is
better.
being loud about what's going on.
He's getting better, though. He's learning. He's
Oh, yeah.
adapting.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
gonna, soon it's going to be to the point where Randy's going to be able to be like, no, fuck you. What's up?
Well,
Yeah.
one thing
That's
I've
true.
noticed, if I can tell that the vibes are off or I have some kind of inkling that the vibes are off with you, if I try to look you in the eyes, you won't look me in the eyes.
Oh,
And then I'm just like, okay, so she is upset, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna say anything, but
So
I'm
I
gonna have
think
in my
I'm
brain,
incognito.
Yeah.
Karina's upset, so
You
if
do
something
have tells.
happens, yeah.
You can tell sometimes. Well, most times.
I can tell, yeah.
But I also don't mask with you, so it doesn't matter.
I was going to say, like, it's not
Yeah.
like
I'm like,
you come in with secrets. You're like,
No.
I'm not going to talk about this.
no, I show up and I'm like, bitch, guess what?
You'll never guess what happened today.
Also, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm upset and I've been crying and everything hurts.
Yeah.
Tired.
But I think that's also like, I'm just now realizing this. I mask by telling everybody that I feel like shit all the time.
Yeah, it's...
I just like make it to the point where they're like, okay, yep.
It's
Okay.
the anglerfish song again.
Mm-hmm.
It all wraps back around to like, if my baseline is always at a 40 million, nobody's going to notice if I hit 8 million.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to notice
But
if I
also,
hit
please hold
2
me.
million. Like, nobody's going to ever notice if I'm like going above this like 40 million baseline and hitting like 1 billion, because I'm always way up here and I am very loudly way up here.
Yeah.
Also, if you didn't catch the anglerfish reference, Hank Green from like 13 years
A
ago.
million years ago.
It's been a minute, but
It's
I
still
lived
good.
by that.
Yeah.
And then Summer called me out and was like, that's a song about your baseline. And I was like, everything I know is a lie.
It was fantastic.
I have to reconsider everything now. Great. But yeah, holy crap. Very relatable. And I think in a lot of different ways. Because we can all think about like the mental health side of things, and we can think about the physicality side of things and how they interact. And then, yeah, that like death loop, the feedback loop of doom. Because that's what was happening when I was having esophageal spasms.
Yeah.
Because it felt like having a heart attack and a stroke at the same time. It was so weird. And then my body was like, we're dying. And my brain's like, what is that? I guess we're dying. And then we would go into like that panicky mode. But then it would just get worse and get worse on both ends. And it's hard. It's a lot to juggle. And all of us are impressive. You too. But I think it's time to take a break. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. What do they need to do?
They need to send me that money.
Yeah.
My Venmo is still empty. I've been waiting. This is what, 3 weeks now? Nothing.
They're going to make us put the Venmo on the screen.
No
You
way.
need
It's
to
not
stop it.
They need to drink water, take your meds,
Yes.
eat something. Not a lot, just something. Don't go crazy.
Or go crazy.
I was going to say,
Coffee is not a meal.
then maybe.
But also it's very comforting. So if you want that, you can have it.
Says the person who's only had coffee today.
That's why I was telling them it's comforting. And if they want it, they can have it. I want it.
Yeah.
So I can have it.
And do something nice for yourself.
Yes. And go find some sunlight or something cozy. Something that feels good. Yeah. Or take a bath. That's always a good choice.
Or sit on the floor of the shower. That's been my new thing.
In your clothes.
No.
And then cry.
I mean, if you
And then
want
wait till
to.
someone finds you.
Yes. It's going to be like the apartment manager because you've soaked through the floor. Whew.
There's a leak
You're
up
like,
here.
no one came. I've been in here for 3 days. It's very sad. Also, I'm hungry.
Do you have any food? Shower food?
And it's just like, my tea's gone cold. I'm wondering why. Yeah. Dio's just, yeah. Great. All right. On that ridiculous note, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And we'll see you in a minute. Bye.
Welcome back. How was your break? Ours was pretty good. We spent a long time outside. We talked.
Yeah.
You didn't medicate or eat, but...
But I medicated beforehand.
Oh, that's true.
So it was
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
I did what I was supposed to do. Okay.
Yeah. I hope
And I
everyone
got
did.
like actual liquid into my body. Because dehydration's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Proud of you. You did it.
You've come so far.
Yay! I get the Dora the Explorer song now. Anyway.
That's stuck in my head.
You
But it's-
did it. You
yeah.
did it. Hooray!
Yeah. My daughter had a backpack. They would sing Backpack.
Oh, God, no.
And it was very loud.
They always are.
It was
It's
obnoxious
so
and it never
loud.
died. The thing didn't ever get replacement batteries, but it never died. Backpack.
In the middle of the night. It's 3 a.m. and singing
shit.
backpack, backpack from a corner.
Yeah. It was fun.
Toys are horrifying.
Yeah. So what are we going to do for this last half?
Well, you're interrogating somebody.
I'm just going to interrogate everybody.
Cool.
Or not.
All right.
We'll find a subject, I'm sure.
I'm going to let you start us off then.
All right.
Taking a back seat here.
You're taking a back seat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is weird. Hi. Welcome to the podcast. With not Karina. Let's see. I had a good question and I lost it.
That's because you were too busy being a shit.
Yeah. Well,
Foiled again.
foiled by my own hubris.
You flew too close to the sun.
I knew it. This works way too well. Oh, no.
Well, first off, what's it like working with this thing?
Oh, God.
I'm pointing to my sister, of course.
It's great. It's been great from the very beginning. Like, so here's something about me, Chris.
Okay.
This is my first teaching job.
Okay.
This is my first, I just graduated with my teaching stuff December of 2020, when the world was full tilt on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I graduated in Pennsylvania, where there are no jobs for teachers. So we moved, and it was a game of we'll see what happens. And everybody was really sweet when I first started working at the school. A lot of it was less genuine than Karina's was, which I clocked very, very early on.
Right.
But
Don't look at me.
but it's been really good. It's good to have somebody that I can scream with about a thing and it doesn't feel like I'm yelling into a void, because we can just kind of storm into a room and be like, this thing, bullshit. And the other one is like, you know what else? This tangentially related thing is also stupid. And then we can just kind of riff back and forth.
Right.
And it feels very safe and good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Compliments.
Oh, no.
How did you end up in Colorado then? Is it random or?
So, my girlfriend's parents live here.
Okay.
And because she also was graduating in December, and we were like, what is next? What are we going to do? What's going on? What's happening? Her parents were like, do you want to come out here? Do you want to live with us for a year? See if you can find anything that sticks. See if you can figure things out a little bit. Because it's a very weird time to be a person, but also a very weird time to be a freshly new, no longer in college person.
Mm-hmm.
So we graduated the second week of December, came out here to visit, brought some stuff with us, went back to Pennsylvania, and then loaded up a U-Haul and drove across the country.
Wow.
So we started packing on the 27th and got here on the 30th.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So it was a crazy, everything was happening all at once kind of thing. And we stayed with them from New Year's to New Year's, because we moved into our own place January 1st this year.
Wow.
So we didn't know if it was going to stick, but it wasn't random as much as it was just let's try, see what happens. And then it ended up working really well, because I got a job that I really like, and she works from home right now but is starting a new job Monday, and it's all going to be hopefully really good. I would like to I like it here. I like being away from my family. I like being 10 states away from people. And it's really funny to hear, in the second person, my family members talking to my mom about the fact that I left, and my mom being like, yeah, I don't know why she had to go that far away. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. Search your
Fully
feelings.
know.
You know
Search
it
your
to be
feelings.
true.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah.
That's good.
That's fair.
Now it's your turn, Karina.
Oh.
What's it like working with Summer?
Oh, it's the best. I have I've said it on the podcast before that I have, for the very first time, this group of people that I enjoy being around.
Mm-hmm.
I think anywhere I've ever been, I've been oh, that one person or these two people, but never I like all 7 of these humans all at once. This is fucking weird.
It'll be interesting when we go back to the first episode, because you were still working at the other school.
Oh my God, yeah.
The worst place ever.
Yeah.
And
It was bad.
yeah, because I know we talked about it a lot
Yeah.
in the
Oh, it was
recaps.
so bad. It was so bad.
You were miserable.
No, you're wrong.
No, weren't you? You were still working at the... You'd moved already?
Yeah, because I've been at this place for 2 years.
Oh my God, dude.
I was like, I know we talked about it a lot in general. Like, you and I would talk about it a lot. Because I was like, I was not going to make it if I stayed there.
No.
Like, my mental health could not survive that place. So it's a good thing that it didn't work out. And then I was like, I want to get out of public education because it's the fucking worst. Mm-hmm. And I need some freedom to be able to, like, serve my kids. And then I found this place and I was like, hey, I have the freedom to serve my kids.
Dude, the difference was night and day.
Yeah. I'm like, there's bullshit, sure. But also, hi, I have trauma. And I'm really good at chaos.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely well adapted to the nonsense. That doesn't mean I enjoy it, but I survive it and use it to my advantage to actually get to build those relationships and really kind of change the trajectory for my kids, because that's important to me.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to do getting into education, because like I didn't have people doing that for me. I had people that were like, you're shaking so you can't take your Spanish test, so you're a bad kid. And it's like, okay, I have an A in the class, I'm just having a moment right now.
Right.
And I felt like I didn't have people that were like, no, we get what you're going through to any extent when I was in school. And I had it a little bit more in college, just because by college a lot of people are having like full tilt panic attacks a lot more often than in high school.
Yes.
But all I really wanted to do with education was get into a situation where I felt like I could be helping the students, and not even just helping them to like love English or whatever, but like helping them to feel like people. They can learn things and be okay with learning things. And that's kind of, I mean, the crux of what we're doing.
Yes.
In a lot of the ways it's at the school, just because we're kind of trying to teach these kids that like they're allowed to be passionate about things, and they're allowed to like learn things independently of what family might say or what, you know what I mean? Like whatever generational trauma we're trying to like push them out of.
Right. Well, and it's really interesting because for these kids, this is like the first positive relationship they've had with, like, I don't even want to say authority figures so much as I want to say like just adults in their lives. And so it's a different kind of relationship. And so A, it throws them off in the beginning, and then B, they're like, this is how this could be. This is what this relationship like could look like. And it's a totally different experience. Like, we are able to ask those kids to do things that no one else could ask them to do because we spent the time getting to know them as humans and respecting the fact that they are humans, which is super important to me because like my kids know, and I tell them all the time, I'm like, I'm never going to like lie to you about anything. I'm going to give you like, this is how to survive in a world that's not built for you. Yeah. Because I had to learn it the hard way. So learn from me so you don't have to learn nearly as much the hard way. Because guess what? That hard way is hard.
Yeah.
It's not a fun road to walk on. So here's some like cheat codes to get you past that level.
Right.
But yeah, it's a totally different experience. And having a team that's on that same page and genuinely cares about the kids. Totally different. But yeah, never going back to public ed. Never. I mean, we are technically public, but we're not like overseen by a district.
We're public in name more than we're public in like people pushing in and being like, no, you have to do it like this.
Yeah. Which is nice. Like, we have a lot of freedom to do what we need to do to get kids where they need to be. But there's also a lot of pushback on the other end because I think, and a lot of it is that whole, like, that same thing where they're like, oh, well, you're too soft on them.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're holding their hand and it's like, no, I'm teaching them.
Yes. And giving them the tools to learn. Because guess what? You can't expect them to be way up here when they've never had the opportunity to build these skills.
Right.
So let's go back and look at skill deficits and teach them those skills and model everything. Like, you want a respectful environment, model that. Like, model communication, model not having a good day and still being able to deal with your like shit. Model regulating your emotions. Model it all so that they can see. But it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, I guess, because
we are considered to be exceptional because we can break through to the kids because we treat them like people, and we're also like, you can have a bad day and not want to do your vocab words.
Yep.
Can you give it a shot? And then over half the time they're fine, whatever.
Right.
Because you give them a little bit of like, no, I know you don't feel well, and it's okay to not feel well. Yep. Because so much of, I don't know if this is, and again, I'm a baby to teaching, so it's like weird, but so much of public education specifically is like having very strange expectations, especially for a group of kids like ours. So like the expectations for them academically are like in the ground. They don't think they can do anything, and they don't think they can handle anything, and it turns into a game of, well, you're gonna overwhelm them, so don't even ask them to try.
Yes.
But then the expectations for their like social emotional stuff is in the stratosphere.
Right.
So they're like, well, yeah, they know how to self-regulate because they're teenagers, and it's like,
no, they don't know how to self-regulate because they're teenagers.
Yeah.
They need co-regulation, and I feel like I don't know that anyone in that building had heard the word co-regulation until I spoke it into the atmosphere. And it shouldn't be this super foreign concept. Like, you're upset, let's walk through how we come back down.
Right.
Like, let's walk through how we can problem solve that issue. Let's walk through this, and that. So, but that's the thing, that we are considered like exceptional, or like the kids' favorites, or whatever. But it's because we build relationships. But there are teachers who see it as like, oh, well, they like bribe them, or they like,
oh yeah, like you're fawning over them.
Yeah. When in reality, it's just like, no, I'm just asking them to do this assignment because I expect them to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And then they do it, and I'm like, cool, good job. And they're like, nobody ever tells me I do a good job. And it's like,
why?
Right.
Why? Yeah. Well, and there's this like weird, I'm an adult and they're like students, and so there has to be this weird divide where I have to like put on my adult hat, and you're like, dude, just be a human being, because those kids have had to go through a lot more than most people in general go through. So no, they're not typical kids. They're still kids, but we need to start treating them like humans so that they can learn how to be humans in the world, and not like have all these deficits. Well, and it bothers me that they don't prioritize, like there's a lot of places that don't prioritize making up deficits.
No.
Or even like teaching them how to accommodate for those deficits,
or acknowledging the deficits exist.
Yeah,
because it turns into, well, but this is because of this or this or this. It has nothing to do with a need not being met.
Right.
It has everything to do with, well, the kid wants attention, the kid wants to act out, the kid wants to cause an issue and be a problem, and it's like, no.
Well, and like I come back to this a lot, where I'm like, children do well when they can. Like, if they can, they do. No child wakes up and is like, I am going to have a shit day and be a pain in the ass and not get anything done. Like, nobody wakes up that way. There's a lot of environmental factors, and there's a lot of, I don't even know how to put it. It's just the expectations are not conducive to what they need. And like basic needs are not being met before we're asking them to do higher level things. And then we're like, oh, I don't know why they can't do the higher level thing. And I'm like, well, did you do this part? This like first step? Well, no. Do that first. Do that.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was like education tangent.
It was good.
But yeah. So hence why we get along so well. Well, not all of why we get along so well, because there's just a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
But we kind of have the same, I don't know, worldview.
Yeah.
When it comes to education and how education can and should be.
Yeah.
And how it wasn't for us.
Exactly. And that same history of like, nobody was that for me when I was growing up. So.
How much do you let them see? Like, when you're having a
like
bad
the
day?
Kids?
Yeah. Because I know you let them see some stuff so that they can know that you're having bad days. But like, how do you meter that out?
Generally, it depends on how like regulated I am. So if I'm emotionally dysregulated, I kind of pull back a little bit because I know I need to be, I don't know, a little firmer control of myself. So I have to kind of button it up a bit. But if I am emotionally regulated and having a bad day, generally I'm just like, yeah, I don't feel good today, guys. So here's how we're going to run today. Please don't give me a hard time because I really just don't have the energy to do it. And usually they're respectful of that.
Nice.
Or they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Like they're good kids. They're really good kids. They just need someone to be thoughtful of them.
Yeah.
And then they reciprocate. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they're really thoughtful kids. And like when you were out you had COVID, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, I miss summer. Where's Summer? Oh, when is Summer coming back? This is the worst. Where's Summer? We miss her. Is she ever coming back? Did she leave us? Does she not like us?
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
But they're good kids.
Yeah. And I mean, I go through that worry cycle a lot of like, I don't want them to see me panicked. Mm-hmm. Because I want, not because of like a power thing, as much as like I don't want anybody to see me in that state. Right. Because it's a very, very vulnerable and scary state to be in. Mm-hmm. And like trauma and like a lot of things have happened, like not, but like a lot of things have happened where people have said stuff while I'm panicking and they think I won't remember it. And it's just like, no, I'm going to keep that on lock for the next 15 years.
Or use it against you or,
So it's a weird balance where like they'll know, like they can fully, because I mean it's really hard for me to hide it, but I will move as quickly away from a situation as I can, and then we have a good enough group of people to have somebody be like, no, I'll go cover for a second, you figure out if you're going to actually panic or this is just a shaky moment or whatever. But they know, like they're fully aware of like, and I told them from the beginning, I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm not gonna like tell you like a half truth about what's going on. Like if it's a bad situation, you will know what you need to know to feel safe and comfortable, or like whatever that means to whatever extent. But like I think that has helped with a couple of the like crises we've had in the building since the beginning of this year, because there have been several times where like shit really has hit the fan in a very, very, very big way.
Yes.
And that like the end of that day or the next day, our executive director has been like, you handled that really well. Like I'm like, you like the kids all wanted to go to your room because you were handling it well. And it's just like, yeah, because I'm always on the edge of a panic attack. So I'm just like waiting for shit to hit the fan.
On fire. Yeah.
And then when it does, I'm just like, okay, I mean, we can just exist in this space because my baseline's already up here. So if we hit up here, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But I definitely like there are definitely kids that know more about it just because they're the kids that don't ever leave us alone.
Right. Or they are inquisitive. Like they will ask. They're not like afraid to ask us when it comes to like, why are you wearing a brace today?
Oh yeah.
Is that part of the other thing? Or like, what happened to Summer?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you'll probably have to ask Summer, but she wasn't feeling well and she had to go home.
Yeah.
But,
and they will, and they'll be like, the next day they'll be like, are you feeling better?
Yeah.
Did anything happen?
Are you okay? What happened to you?
But like, yeah.
Why'd you leave?
Even like when I was out last Friday because my girlfriend's appendix decided to shit the bed in a really big way.
Yeah.
When I came back on Monday, kids were like, are you okay? What's going on? And I was like, I mean, I'm fine. Lulu had to go and have a whole thing. And they were like, is she okay? Does she need anything? My mom can bring soup. And it's like, no, it's fine. It's very sweet of you. We're good. But I made a point of not lying to you about what's going on in my life. So, like, that's,
right.
You know.
Well, and I think, like, context is so important when it comes to interpreting other people's emotions and being able to read a room. And if we're modeling those skills for them, like it makes sense to be like, here's stuff in context. Here's what this looks like when I don't feel good. Here's what this looks like when I'm upset about something. Here's what this looks like when I'm like, I'm just not in it for you right now, kid. Like, I've had to warn a few and be like, look, what comes next is not going to be nice. I need you to, like, button it up right now. Because if I have to tell you again, you're not going to like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even there have been several times where kids have been like, no, nobody's telling me what actually is going on in this situation. And it's like, okay, I can tell you what I'm allowed to tell you. And that feels icky. It feels icky to be like, I have to walk a line between what I'm allowed to say versus what I'm not allowed to say versus what is important for you to know, like, especially when the crises happen in the building where, like, we might not know what's going on.
Right.
Or we might not have all of the details, but we know this and this, but we don't know how we got from point A to point B. And the middle areas where something bad is actually happening. Like,
well, I think the other part of that is, like, those of us in the building who handle these things really well and, like, build those relationships with kids also have something else in common where we are not afraid to ask each other for help.
Exactly.
And that is, I think, pretty unique in a way because we just have this, like, natural network where we're like, I don't know, let me check in with somebody else who might know. And then we're back and forth. And then it's more than just, like, asking for information. It's more like we can ask each other for anything. We're like, hey, I need you to cover this because this is going down and I need to be over there. Or, hey, I'm not going to be in there today. Can you just, whatever it is. But we share information really well between all of us. And so usually we're all looped in. And so we know what's going on. And we're not afraid to ask somebody else for help when we're like, I don't have this, maybe. Maybe someone else can help me get this figured out.
Yeah.
But a lot of the problems that do happen in the building happen because that's not happening. And people are pretending to know the answers or like trying to handle situations they are not at all qualified to handle.
Or looped into or have any information about or should be being asked about at all.
Or not sharing with the correct people. Where you're like, wow, maybe these people really needed to know about that.
Yeah.
Thanks for not saying anything.
Yeah.
Why?
So explicit communication.
Yes.
Yes.
Your motto.
Exactly. It's exactly how it goes. Yeah.
And there's the fear I get sometimes with that goes back into this weird thing of imposter syndrome of like, what if I actually don't need help? What if I don't need somebody else? What if I could handle this by myself, but I just don't want to?
Oh God, I hate that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Where like you feel like you're using people almost, but not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like, well, if I did have to do this by myself, I probably could, but since I don't have to, then I'm going to ask this person, and what does that mean?
I'm lazy.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of that. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Especially if you have to like, and I get like people who have a harder time with behaviors in the building. I think that part of that is exactly that. Is like, I should be able to handle this. Why can't I handle this?
Yes.
But I'm going to pretend like I can handle this. So it's like the opposite. We're good at handling it.
Right.
But also we're not really sure if we're good at handling it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a weird world that we live in right now. With all of these super exceptional kids. But they're good kids, and we like them a lot.
Yes.
I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to not take things personally, too.
Yes.
If you're like, no, has nothing to do with me. Or it has maybe that doesn't even have anything to do with the kid, but it has something to do with something that happened in the hallway.
Yeah.
Like 12 minutes ago that I wasn't there for and didn't see. But like this kid is still very upset about it.
Yes.
And maybe they don't even know why.
And then I asked them to do work, and that set them over the edge. And no,
No, I get that a lot with my kids.
Right.
Like, I have Sophie walk through what's actually going on with her. Because she'll just get
you're
angry.
like lack of context.
Right. I'm like, hey, can you do this? And she's like, oh my God, why? Like, it's just the trash. It's not hard. She's like, no, it's really hard. I'm like, okay, so what's wrong? What's actually got you upset?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what happened today at school? And she'll walk through it and she'll be like, oh, you know what? So-and-so is being really mean to me today. And I was like, okay, well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do that with each other too.
Right.
'Cause sometimes it'll be like, this thing that this kid said really got me today, and I don't know why it got me. And it's like, is that what actually got you?
Right.
Or did something happen 2 hours ago that you didn't have time
To process.
or energy to process, and
Uh-huh.
now suddenly this very, very minor thing is
Got
becoming
you
a big
upset,
issue.
Yep. Yeah. But it's a very unique workplace, and I know I'm 29. It's not that long an existence, but first of all, I don't think there's not more than like a third of us are neurotypical.
Oh yeah.
If that.
Yeah, that's being very generous.
if that. So yeah, but being neurodivergent has really been an advantage in
with
the
this
building.
with this population of
Yes.
Yeah.
because sometimes things will happen and I'll be like, I bet I can piece together the logic that
Yep.
this took.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll explain it to the two people in the building that are neurotypical, and they're like,
What?
How did
you get there?
how
And
did
you're
you
like,
get there? And it's like, no, you don't understand. this makes perfect sense if you
Yep.
just lay it out like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, we're all kind of neurodivergent, and I think we set the tone of like, if you have a need, communicate it.
Yeah.
And then we all do and did and have for the most part, where we're like, hey, can I come in here and bitch for a second? Like, I'm having a really hard time and this is why, and I just need to say it out loud to get it out of me.
And I don't need you
Yeah.
to say anything about it. I don't
We're
need
like, dude,
advice. I
that
just
blows.
need you to like
Yeah.
sit for a second and
And you're like, that sucks. I'm really sorry that happened. And you're like, okay, whew.
cool, I can
I'm
go do my
good.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've kind of programmed this environment for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it works well. But I think the neurotypical people in the building are a little confused by our little conglomerate.
Because sometimes people will walk into a room and we'll be like laying on the floor or atop desks and just like yelling.
Yep.
And people will be like, is this a private
bad
meeting?
time?
What's going on? And it's like, no, we're fine. We're going to go get ice cream. But also,
Oh, yeah. Karina's tipping over chairs. But, it's 4:00.
yeah, I don't know if you know about this. 4:00 hits and Karina will go into some classroom and just start tipping chairs over.
Yeah.
She goes into toddler mode. She picks them back up. But she like needs to just crash things for a second.
Yes.
It's okay. I throw Monopoly money into fans. So.
Yeah. Well, and then children stay behind. But they all know now that they're like, oh, yeah, that's just Karina at 4 p.m.
It's
We
time.
did this to ourselves.
It's time. We made her like this. But yeah,
That's cool.
that's how that works. So yeah, we've definitely created a very unique work environment.
Yeah.
Not like anything I've ever had before. But
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine working in the same job without the support,
I know.
where it's always masking, always in pain, always everything.
No.
And you have to keep it to yourself.
Actually, that's one of our bullets here. You can't
Just says
see
no.
it because
It does just say
says
no.
no.
Well, we got to know.
So there we go. So masking, no, don't know her. I knew her. She's a crazy bitch. Oh my god.
You would not believe.
Oh my god. She keyed my car on her way out. I'm like, whew. She said some stuff I really didn't need out there. Huh. Yeah. All right, folks. Is it time to end it?
Yeah.
It's time to end it
This has
forever.
been a long episode. It's a good episode, though.
Forever. No, I'm just kidding.
Not forever. For a week.
For a week.
Jesus Christ.
She's
I'm gonna
just
stop
done.
existing for a week. Poof. There you go. All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming along. I know it was a longer episode, but I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's good. I don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. But thank you, Summer, for coming and hanging out. It was a really good conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see how this one turns out.
Oh, I think it's going to be great.
But I think it's your turn to shill.
Oh, I
So
have to
that-
shill.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, all those shilling. And if you don't, I'm going to hate you forever. And you don't want me to hate you forever. You just don't.
He'll have to go back to onlykillchris.com. And
He's very powerful.
we don't need that.
It's so
so
powerful.
scary.
No, but if you enjoy it, you can find us everywhere. Like us, comment, please comment,
Yes.
and join Discord.
Yeah. come talk to us. We like hearing from you. This is the season of many voices. So as many voices as we can get packed into however long we decide this season's going to be.
Yeah, I know when it's going to end.
Come talk to us forever.
I know how it ends. Karina doesn't.
A birthday?
No, I'm not telling you. It's a secret.
Whoa.
It could already be over for all you know.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. She didn't even know.
The phone number is a lie. All right, my dears. Take care of you. Take care of others. And have a great week. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.